This is Coffee with God, and I am Father Jose. Let us begin this day with the Word of God and a short reflection.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 12, verses 38 to 42. The passage is taken from the Message version of the Bible. Later, a few religion scholars and Pharisees cornered him. "Teacher, we want to see your credentials. Give us some hard evidence that God is in this. How about a miracle?" Jesus said, "You're looking for proof, but you're looking for the wrong kind. All you want is something to titillate your curiosity, satisfy your lust for miracles. The only proof you're going to get is what looks like the absence of proof. Jonah evidence. Like Jonah, 3 days and nights in the fish's belly. The Son of Man will be gone 3 days and nights in a deep grave. On Judgment Day, the Ninevites will stand up and give evidence that will condemn this generation, because when Jonah preached to them, they changed their lives. A far greater preacher than Jonah is here, and you squabble about proofs. On Judgment Day, the Queen of Sheba will come forward and bring evidence that will condemn this generation, because she traveled from a far corner of the earth to listen to wise Solomon. Wisdom far greater than Solomon's is right in front of you, and you quibble over evidence." The Gospel of the Lord.
All around us, God's miracles. The Gospel of Matthew had already reported several signs and miracles performed by Jesus. As the people have observed what Jesus is doing, they have been filled with praise and amazement, claiming that God has visited his people. But the religious leaders, blinded by their prejudice, accused Jesus of using the powers of Satan for his teachings, exorcisms, and healings. In today's passage, they again ask for a sign from heaven. This time it appears genuine. However, with this request from the leaders, Matthew exposes the hypocrisy of the Pharisees and scribes, who must have been demanding Jesus to present his credentials. Jesus responds by calling them an evil and unfaithful generation that asks for a sign. All around them, miracles were happening, but they pretended to be blind. They refused to believe regardless of what he did or said. So the Lord called them an evil and unfaithful generation. Remember the story of the rich man and poor Lazarus. One was in hell, the other on Abraham's bosom. Father Abraham tells the rich man in hell, if they, his brothers and sisters, do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced even if someone rises from the dead. The same is true for those who reject Jesus. Arguing with those who reject God is pointless. Faith is the only way to prove God, not arguments. Jesus offers them the sign of Jonah, which was well understood by the listeners of Matthew. The story of Jonah, who stayed in the fish's belly for 3 days, and the belief that Jesus rose from the dead on the 3rd day were well known to them. However, the Jews in Antioch, who refused to believe in Jesus, also refused to believe in his resurrection story. They refused to believe Jesus' teachings and mighty works because they considered themselves people of knowledge and learning who knew everything. Our biggest temptations today are probably complacency and intellectual pride. Like the scribes and the Pharisees in today's gospel, sometimes we are stiff-necked and stubborn. We refuse to let go of our set behaviour patterns and think everyone else is wrong. The gospel invites us to open our eyes to God's miracles all around us and witness their beauty.